are
yes,
discussing 2027.
I am part of it. I do. All I say, and that's what I'm going to say now, is that whatever realignments, whatever coming together, we must discuss the future of this country. We're not just going to, I'm not going to be part of just wrestling power for power's sake. No. I want to know that we're going to do this in order to be able to invest in education, invest in health, invest in pulling our people out of poverty. How can a country with this size of uncultivated land not be able to feed itself? Charles, agree with that. That's why I've always said, I'm not desperate to be president. I'm desperate to see Nigeria work. Charles, it is all these alliances, all these groupings that brought us to where we are today. Because people were blinded. Instead of seeing what they would do to make the country work, make the country productive, they were focused on wrestling power. What are we going to use the power to do?
Yeah, but you ran for office in 2023. You wanted to wrest power from
yes,
the
because
APC.
I wanted to do something.
Right.
Charles, I wanted to do something. I wanted to use it. By now, you would have been seeing the impact on education visibly. And I'm not talking about people coming to say it in TVs. You will be seeing it visibly. I would have even been visiting the schools.
Well, that's why some of
the health. You would have been seeing the primary. We have over 70% of our primary care are not functional.
But that's why some of your supporters are saying that for you to make this happen, you have to be able, you've got to be positioned, they say, to win the presidency.
Don't say my support. Don't just say some of my followers. I want Nigerians to know it is about their country.
Indeed.
So many Nigerians today don't know where the next meal will come from.
Please do us a favor by clicking on your subscribe button and don't forget to like and share this video. Thank you.
They don't know. Several people have been to hospitals where people can't leave the hospitals because they can't pay. We have less than 5% insurance, health insurance in this country, when comparable countries like Indonesia have 95%.
Yes, but you're not going to be able to change that unless you become president.
No, but the people have to know and know that this man can do it. Because we have a critical situation, Charles, where we're not addressing it. We have a country where our debt in 2015 is between 15 and 17 trillion. Now we have a country with a debt of 150 to 170 trillion. A country where our cost of debt servicing is now higher than our critical areas of budget for critical development, education, health, pulling people out of poverty.
All Peter Obi is asking for is what any honest and genuine leader with the right intentions would normally ask for. Unfortunately, in Nigeria's political space, genuinely thinking ahead and planning for the future is considered strange because many of our politicians are not sincere. They are not driven by vision. They are driven by the hunger for power. To them, power itself is the ultimate goal, not the tool to serve the people. Peter Obi is insisting that any serious coalition must first have a clear blueprint, a well-defined plan of what they intend to do once they eventually come into power. He's not interested in simply winning an election for the sake of it. What matters more to him is what will be done with that power, how it will be used to improve the lives of Nigerians, to fix the broken systems, and to rebuild the country on a strong and sustainable foundation. This kind of thinking is very unusual to the average Nigerian politician. Many of them do not even have any idea of what they plan to do when they get into office. To them, manifestos are just part of the campaign process, fancy documents printed to impress voters during elections, not real policy guides they intend to follow. In fact, many of them do not even participate in the writing of their so-called manifestos. Once they win, those documents are quickly forgotten. For a typical Nigerian politician, the priority is very simple. Grab power first, then figure out what to do later, if they even bother to think about it at all. That is why when Muhammadu Buhari won the presidency in 2015, it took him several months just to form a cabinet. That delay was not a strategy. It was a clear sign of unpreparedness. There was no solid plan in place. And APC is a typical example of what happens when people come together only to take power, without first agreeing on how to use it wisely. They united mainly for the purpose of removing the government in power at that time. Once they achieved that goal, confusion set in. There was no clear direction, no unified vision, and no immediate roadmap for national development. That lack of preparation and internal coherence is one of the main reasons Nigeria is in the condition it is today, struggling economically, socially, and politically. Peter Obi is trying to avoid a repeat of that same mistake. He wants the coalition to sit down and first agree on key policy directions. Their policies on education, healthcare, security, poverty alleviation, job creation, industrialization, and economic restructuring. He believes that when power finally comes, it should not be a moment of confusion, but a smooth transition into action guided by already agreed plans. Unfortunately, this kind of thinking sounds strange to many Nigerian politicians and their loyal supporters, often known as data boys. These individuals do not care about the future of Nigeria or the well-being of its citizens. They are only interested in being close to power so that they can receive small personal benefits along the way, their own crumbs from the table of power. That is also why when Peter Obi says that he is not desperate to become president, many people fail to understand him. In a political environment where people will do anything, say anything, and align with anyone just to reach the top, such a statement appears confusing. But what he's simply saying is that he would rather not be president at all than become president through the back door or via compromises that will render him powerless, ineffective, or irrelevant. To him, there is no honor in holding the title Mr. President if he cannot bring meaningful change. There is no pride in occupying Aso Rock if he is unable to serve the people or implement the reforms Nigeria desperately needs. That is why there are conditions he will not accept, alliances he will not form, and deals he will not sign just for the sake of ambition. His interest is not in power for power's sake, but in leadership with impact. When you truly understand this, you will also understand that Peter Obi is not a politician that can be easily bent, bought, or bullied into compromising his values. He cannot be pushed into an arrangement he does not believe in just because it increases his chances of winning. This is exactly what makes him different and at the same time difficult for the traditional political class to deal with. In all of this, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. In the midst of confusion, desperation, and power struggles, one politician in Nigeria today stands out in terms of clarity, discipline, and long-term vision. And that politician is Peter Obi.
Thanks for staying with us. There's always a need for me to readdress this video again. Despite that, this video was not made today, but I still have to readdress it for people to understand the possibility of changing things around within a twinkle of an eye. Because there is this saying that says that a minute can make a change. So if you believe that a minute can make a change, that means there is always a turnaround in the government. Because if the government or the head of the state who is in charge of its administration wishes to turn everything around, to change everything from negative to positive, to make sure the life of the people living in his country, we want to make it look better, it want to make it, to be worthy of living, then it's very, very and good possible to do in a twinkle of an eye. You don't need 20 years, you don't need 10 years, you don't even need 5 years or 4 years to even to do that. It's just that create those policies Imagine what is happening in the country right now. That means there's no chain of administration in anywhere. There's no chain of command in anywhere. Where that the president will be saying another thing, the Senate will give another law, and the Supreme Court or even the High Court will give another, and you see that it will be violated or being flagged. Nobody will respect it. That is because there's no chain of command. Everybody is at it on doing what they wish to do, doing the best they know they can do, and acting nonchalantly in everything. That's because there's no a chain of command. So everybody is acting like they wish. That's because the leadership in power never care to, exercise their job, or should I say, to implement or enforce their power over those elements which seems to subside his instruction, or feel like neglect the power that he possesses as the president or as anybody in charge of the head of the affair. So that's exactly that's happening in the country, Nigeria now. Just because the presidency has failed to exercise its power to make the world, to make the people, to make every other head of administration understand that he's still the president and he have the right to make command and he stand firm. So that's why you see that this country is running like runabouts. Nobody is adhering to the presidency instruction. And if you really want to change the government, it just for us to make the necessary policy and put the necessary task force to enforce those policies to be obeyed by the citizen and also by the lawmakers and every other individual, whether the VIP or the average man living in the society. That's number one. Two, to tackle insecurity, it's very, very simple, and it's what they can do. That same go to the healthcare. Tell every minister, tell every commissioner, tell every other public servant, nobody is going to abroad for medical checkup, neither you or your family. Then you must use the primary healthcare center in your local government, or wherever you are in the country. By so doing, the ministers or commissioner of health, everybody will put in work, knowing that they have to make everywhere organized with the VIPs that are living in the country, so that whenever they are sick, they will have adequate medical supply to carry on maybe their surgery or any other operation they wish, or they can even have a good treatment. Like Nigeria of today now, we don't have any good medicine anywhere. Yes, because our NDLA and NAFDAC are not doing anything regarding to the fake products of medicine rampant in the country right now. Well, share your opinion in the comment section, and don't forget to share this video to your friends and well wishers. Thank you and God bless.